Hi, I'm Carrie Gerard, Executive Director of Jonathan's Path.
And I'm Talia Wisecover, the DCS Foster Parent Recruitment Manager with Harmony.
We are talking about foster parenting today, and specifically the differences between foster parenting, traditional style, kinship placement, and foster to adopt. And they're very, very different. So Talia, give us the highlights. What are those three items?
Let's start with kinship.
Okay.
I think that's the one that is a little confusing for a lot of people. So kinship means you were either blood related to the child or you had prior knowledge of this child before they came into care. So maybe you were their third grade teacher, or you were their Sunday school teacher, or you're their neighbor that lived down the road, but you knew them before they came into care.
It can also be a family member at times.
Yes.
And they have to go through a vetting process too.
Yep.
Okay.
They're going to do what's called an expedited home study a lot of times. This is not necessarily how it will play out, but a lot of times they'll come out, they're going to check your home, they're going to do all that and bring the child to your home.
Okay.
And then you will start the training process.
Okay.
So it's a little backwards with kinship sometimes. And then you'll do your training, the full home study, because we have to do a mini home study to make sure, you do meet all of these qualifications. And they're going to check those things before they put the child in your home. It's not like we're going to later check and find out. We're going to check those before we put the child in your home. And then the kinship training is a little bit different as well. It's a little more condensed that way, because we understand you've got a lot going on. And so getting through that process looks a little different than traditional foster care, which leads us to traditional. So traditional is like Carrie did. You are essentially a stranger to the children coming into foster care, and you are opening up your home. So you're going to do all of your classes first. You're going to do your home study first. You're going to do that whole process first, and then you will get your foster children placements, and they will be someone that you did not know. And then the foster to adopt. I feel like it's a little bit of a sticky slope.
Yeah.
No, you're not guaranteed to get to adopt in Tennessee. Our children come into custody. Their parents are still going to have rights most of the time.
Correct.
And so you cannot adopt a child unless their parental rights have been surrendered or terminated.
Correct.
And then there are, of course, policies around that as well. We do have some children in full guardianship, but you would want to do all of the training and everything and then try to apply to see if you qualify for those children.
So foster parenting, that's where we started. And we hadn't actually no plans to adopt. We always said if a child comes into our home and needed that and it was a good fit for a home, then it was, we were open to it, but it wasn't our end goal. And our second kiddo, of course, came to us at 16 years old, and we actually ended up adopting him at 18 years old. And talking about this, would you call it sticky slope? So, there was one parent that surrendered, and then one parent that, we got TPR, but the timing of the child turning 18, and so it's not a quick process. If you think that you're fostering to adopt and it's going to take a year and I'm going to say that is not it. Pump the brakes.
I think it definitely depends on the case.
Yes. There are kids, I think it's at tnadoptkids.org, I believe.
AdoptUSKids.org.
Thank you. Those kids are in full guardianship, and those kids, meaning the state, they're wards of the state, they're parental rights have been terminated or surrendered, and those kids are ready for adoption. So depending on the path that you're wanting to take, there's a couple of different options. I Talia, you correct me if I'm wrong. A lot of parents will go into foster care thinking, I'm going to foster a baby.
We do get that often.
And I'm going to raise this baby. Sometimes they go get the baby from the hospital, and they bring the baby home, they have the baby for 2 years, and parents come and they're doing the work and the baby goes home after 2 years. That is a real scenario. The point of foster care is to put families back together. And it is difficult sometimes.
Absolutely.
Whether the foster parent agrees or disagrees, the ultimate is you want the child with their family. Sometimes it's not in their best interest, and that's a different path.
Yeah.
But I don't want people to think that is, and you don't come into foster care thinking you're going to adopt a baby.
Absolutely. If you are hoping for adoption only, there are lots of adoption agencies across the state of Tennessee, and you can go through one of those and do your home study that way and get started with an adoption agency. And that's really what we recommend. If you call and do your inquiry and you tell us we only want to adopt, then you would want to look at an adoption agency.
Yeah. My son, who we adopted, I love the fact he said, I'm going to paraphrase because he says it better than I do, but he said, I don't remember my first steps. Actually, T, you want to come? I'm literally, this is an audible. I'm calling in our son to talk about teens.
I hadn't even heard him come in.
Yeah. So, would you mind telling everyone why they should adopt teens instead of a baby?
I'll never remember my first steps or my first words, but I'll always remember what it was like for the first time to be loved by a family.
And that's why you need that. Are you okay?
I'm good. I was not ready. You were just going to make me cry first thing in the morning.
But if you think about that, like when Taylor said that, I think I don't know if you were giving a speech or something, but when you think about that, I mean, I don't remember my first steps. I don't remember, being cuddled as a baby. But T remembers everything about coming into this family, and I remember everything about him coming to this family, and that is what's most important. So think about fostering teens. If you are interested, go to our website, click on the button, fill out the form. Talia and her team will give you a call for the next step. And we just want to encourage people to think about teenagers because you can get a guy like this, which is pretty special.